Hello everybody, my name is Nerdy Lover and welcome to another episode of our football betting series here on YouTube, World Cup edition. Before recording today's episode, I quickly looked at the channel page and to have a look at how the last video performed and realised the video for Matchday 2 did not upload. So the top pinned comment for this episode will have a recording of our selections in Matchday 2. I believe we went 3 from 4 off the top of my head, which is a bit unfortunate, really, because I would have loved to have shared that knowledge. We're doing pretty well in the World Cup right now. I believe we're 7-2 in our selections for the tournament. So let's keep that momentum rolling with our 3 selections for the final game of the group stage. The one thing to keep in mind with these games, as I touched upon in my final group game for the Champions League video, one of the things we need to ask ourselves is, does this team need to win? Can they get away with a draw? And if so, perhaps steer clear of them, because it might be the case that 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, they play for the draw, they don't push all the way, and it can cost you a lot of money in the long term. So only 3 selections across all of the games, but they're 3 games which I've evaluated from a standpoint of this team needs to get a result, and this team, I feel, can get a result. So without further ado, let's jump into our first selection. We're going to be kicking things off in Group B with 20th ranked Iran playing 16th ranked USA. Iran have not lied down following their 6-2 defeat at the hands of the English on Matchday 1, winning in stoppage time by scoring 2 goals against Wales to put themselves in prime position to qualify from the group, a group in which many pundits had them finishing bottom. All Iran need to do is avoid defeat here against the States, and they will qualify. Statistically, Iran average a strong 2 goals per game, netting twice against England and against Wales. That's pretty clinical from 2 key chances per 90 created. A new stat for the World Cup is an XG of 1.61 on average across the 2 games, which is actually really strong for a side of Iran's quality. Defence could use some work. They do average 3 goals per game against, but they are coming off a clean sheet in their last game. Obviously, that England result does skew the numbers slightly. On the other hand, only a win will do for the United States of America, otherwise they will not get out of the group, and they will be on the first plane back to the land of the free. The States are winless in their 2 games, but they're also without a defeat in their matches against the home nations. The Yanks are without a defeat in each of their last 3 games, but also winless in their last 5. Basically, this side draws a lot of games. The United States men's national team average 0.5 goals per game from 1.5 key chances created, so they're not clinical at all. They do average an expected goals of 0.72, which pretty much tells you the story there. Defence is fairly strong, conceding 0.5 goals per game, a clean sheet against England, and only conceded a penalty from Wales. The pure numbers would suggest that Iran potentially have the edge on this game, or at least avoid defeat to see themselves go through, but I don't know what it is. Something here just tells me the United States have enough to get a win. There's been a lot of positive mentality in the American camp, and I think the Iranians struggle to defend against quality. Man for man, the USA are also better than Iran, averaging a 6.76 player rating compared to Iran's 6.52. The Iranians will also be able to go through a draw, and I think this will ultimately be their downfall. If I can see the narrative of the game, I see them starting off quite slow and conservative, only to concede a goal to the United States and simply not being able to recover from there. The United States in a single is the first bet for me. At number 2 sees 38th ranked Australia playing 10th ranked Denmark, and the Aussies bounce back from their 4-1 defeat at the hands of the French to claim a 1-0 win against Tunisia in their last game. The Australian defence held strong in a game in which they were thoroughly second best, but the spirit is strong in the Socceroos camp, and it's carried them into a position where if they avoid defeat against the Danes, they will qualify for the knockout round. Statistically, Australia average just the 1 goal per game, but it's clinical as they only average 1 key chance per game, and they're outperforming their XG of 0.56 across both matches. Defence is far from remarkable, averaging 2 goals against per game, but of course they did secure a clean sheet against Tunisia. Tunisia were unable to score against the Danes in their match, drawing 0-0, and it was a bit of a sorry result for the Danish. And they will need to win against Australia straight up following their 2-1 defeat to Mbappe. France, obviously, not just Mbappe. Denmark average a disappointing 0.5 goals per game from 1 key chance created. They do average a 0.78 XG, so they do need to get the ball into the final third a bit more. However, Australia are the weakest defence of the 3 on paper, and I think they have enough about them to pick up the win here. Denmark need to perform well under pressure in the final game, but I think they've got enough about them to beat the 38th ranked team in the world. Denmark to win in a single. Our third and final bet sees 12th ranked Croatia playing 2nd ranked Belgium, and Croatia did stutter against Morocco on matchday 1 before bullying Canada by 4-1 in matchday 2. I think part of what spurred the Croats on in this one were the comments from the Canadian manager, and if you know, then you know. This result does mean that the Croats are unbeaten in each of their last 8 competitive matches. And in the World Cup, they have averaged 2 goals per game, creating 3.5 key chances per 90 for an impressive XG of 1.57. The defence is also strong with 1 clean sheet of their 2 games and averaging 0.5 goals against, and that will be the Jonathan Davies goal. Belgium have been, in a word, slow this World Cup. Their tempo has been pretty awful, and they were perhaps fortunate to escape with all 3 points against Canada in their first game. I thought, well, surely that's poor performance in matchday 1's going to spur Roberto Martinez on to really get at his team, but there was no change to the tempo in Game 2, and they deservingly lost against Morocco by 2-0. However, Belgium do have 3 points, and they are in a position to qualify. They do need to win against Croatia, but the Red Devils have only won 1 of their last 4 matches coming into this World Cup, losing the other 3. Belgium averaged 0.5 goals per game from 1.5 key chances. When we look at XG, that's only at 0.86. And I basically think that if Croatia score, Belgium will need to score 2 goals in order to qualify. And I can't see this team do that based on the performance we've seen from the first 2 games of the tournament. Croatia are scoring more, creating more. They have a higher average XG and the same defensive record. I think we're going to lay Belgium here in the final selection of the group stage to wrap things up.